Hi everyone, welcome back to Trusted Health's YouTube channel. I'm Audrey, your host, and today we have a very special episode lined up for you. I'll be speaking with Anna, a seasoned travel nurse who has been there, done that, and is here to share her incredible journey with us.
Well, my name is Anna. I am from Arizona. I've been a nurse now for 6 years. This is actually a second career for me. I started it over 7, 8 years ago when my son wasn't doing well in school, so I decided to go back to school as well.
And so what was it that made you choose nursing, I guess, to begin with? And then from there, what made you choose to travel nurse?
It was going to be nursing versus teaching. And it was a shorter route to become a nurse. But my sister had been bugging me for years to be like a CNA or a tech. She thought I'd be great at it. So decided to go into be a CNA or a tech at the hospital. Absolutely loved it. Said, this is what I'm going to do. So then I went to school. I actually had a patient's family member tell me that he was a travel nurse. He's like, you going to travel? And I'm like, what is a travel nurse? And he's like, it's amazing. You get to stay in these places for 3 months at a time and live there. And then, you get paid well and get to visit the city and such. And he goes, I just did a contract for 9 months. He goes, they're usually only 3 months. He said, we did it for 9 months. He goes, and they wanted me to work every Friday to Saturday, Sunday. And I'm like, that does not sound like a good deal. And he goes, wait a minute. He goes, it was in the Bahamas. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is something I got to do. So ever since then, my husband and I did a whole bunch of research on travel nursing and how people do it and everything. And that's how we did it.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. I mean, I think that hearing about someone being in the Bahamas would sway me towards that decision as well.
Absolutely.
On your travels, do you have a particular assignment that's been your favorite or anything that's been particularly memorable?
Every assignment has been pretty memorable. My first one I did was in Tucson, which is about two hours away from where I was living. Totally something new. I was not a tele nurse. I did have some tele experience, but they wanted a tele nurse. So I tried it, and it was totally new. I was a little scared, but it was a wonderful experience. First time in Reno, Nevada, that was my first trauma hospital. So, getting a gunshot wound and knife wounds at the same time was just, it's just interesting stuff. You learn so much. New Orleans was a big one because I learned how to do LVADs there, which, and more, cardiac stuff, tele stuff. But honestly, every place that I've gone, I've learned so much. It's helped me grow in nursing and, at home, being able to experience all these things at all these cities.
Yeah,
sure.
Absolutely. When I was traveling, it was crazy to me how much I did learn from each experience along the way, because on one hand, you're not really getting a lot of formal training. There's like a lot more of just like learning on the fly when you're a travel nurse. But
True.
I did feel that professionally, I was so much more well-rounded than I feel like I would have been had I just stayed in my staff position, because I was learning new things every unit I went to, and not only new things, but like a new way of doing the same thing, because everywhere does things just
right.
a little bit differently.
That's true. That's been a surprise for me, is how many places they're so different.
Yeah.
It's definitely worth it.
Definitely. And so how do you think that like the adventure of traveling, you mentioned like learning new things along the way, but whether it's like personally or that like professionally, how do you feel like your travel experience has enriched your life?
After the Tucson experience, that was my first travel assessment. My son went into the Navy, so my husband and I decided to get a fifth wheel. So we actually live out of our RV and we just travel the country. So, I mean, that in itself is a great experience because we get to go and live in these cities for 3 months at a time, if not longer, and, learn so many, new cultures and foods and how people do stuff at each hospital has, helped me grow as well. But we are really, because he's able to come with me on the road, and we are really having so much fun at all these new places I've never been to. So,
Yeah.
I love it for sure.
That's a special experience, and doing it in your home on wheels is incredible. But it is true, like when you're travel nursing and you're in a city for, generally 13 weeks at a time, you're really getting to experience living in that place rather than like if you were to just visit the same place for like a quick weekend trip or something. You're actually getting to feel like you lived there for a while. Yeah.
Yes. You get to experience so much. So every place we go, my husband and I check out all the farmers markets, the festivals where they're at, and all the tours that you can do in some of these places. So
yeah,
it's definitely been a great experience for us.
Yeah, that's amazing. If you were speaking to a nurse similar to that nurse who you talked to that kind of gave you the nudge for travel nursing, what do you think you would tell a nurse who is maybe on the edge and considering leaving a staff position to travel?
I say do it. Go for it. I was definitely nervous before I left. Wasn't sure I had enough experience or what have you, but everywhere I've been, everybody's been so helpful and wonderful, and they do expect a lot of you, to basically hit the ground running when you go. But every place I've been to, it's been a great learning experience, and it's find out if you like it. Do a contract that's not so far away, and just see if you like it. And I knew right away that this was going to be kind of the life that I wanted to do for a while. So.
Right.
Don't be scared, but you also have to be flexible. So know that as a travel nurse, everything is about flexibility. You get floated sometimes you get tough assignments, but like I said, I had so much fun doing this. Every hospital. I can't really think of bad things right now.
Yeah, and I think that you hit the nail on the head with flexibility. I mean, everything from, your schedule to your floating, you just have to be able to roll with the punches and realize, that you just have to adopt a little bit of a different mindset to be able to just make the best of all of those situations.
Yes. And, things come up all the time. I mean, I won't say that I haven't been canceled before because it's happened, but you just roll with it. I mean, you really have to, otherwise it will drive you crazy, but the rewards are awesome. So I say it's totally worth trying if it's something you think you might like.
Yeah. Speaking of flexibility, has there been any one assignment or experience that you feel like has particularly pushed you out of a comfort zone? Like maybe it was a new unit that you were on. I know that you mentioned like learning the LVAD, whether it's a unit or a place that you got floated to a specific unit. Is there somewhere that's kind of pushed you to new bounds?
A little bit in each place. My first assignment, of course, which was teles, that was totally new to me. So I did learn there. The LVADs, never did those on the West Coast, so it was totally new for me in New Orleans. In West Virginia, I just got done with a contract, and we just got done with Surge Onc, and oncology's never been something that I was into or ready to do, but they were willing to train me, and I tried it, and I loved it. So, honestly, you try new things every time because they will float you everywhere, and every time you can learn something new. So.
Yeah, that's so true. I always did pediatric critical care, and so my home unit was the PICU, but PICU is almost always floated to the NICU, So I had to learn kind of a new skill set going to care for the little babies. But then sometimes I'd get floated to med surge, and med surge is a crazy world. I always felt
Yeah, they're all a little bit different.
it's all different, and it's just a different workflow. And so, flexibility is the name of the game. And you're right, you like lean on your coworkers or like the other nurses in each unit to kind of help you get your bearings, and you just go from there, and you end up learning a whole lot in the process.
Yes, absolutely. Totally been worth it in my book. So
Yeah.
no matter where they send me, not always the most fun thing to do is being floated to another unit that you don't really know, but you know, just be flexible, be
Yep.
positive, because you'll learn something no matter what.
Exactly. It's all about the mindset you approach it with. Um, I'd like to just talk to you a little bit about your experience with Trusted as an agency, and just kind of get a feel for how you would describe your journey with Trusted, and if there's been any particular moment or experience with our care team that has really stood out to you as a nurse.
Well, when I first started looking into this, because I had no idea what to do, I actually put my resume out on Blue Pipes, which I was totally overwhelmed with all the recruiters and agencies that got a hold of me. And I had heard about Trusted, and I went through it, and it wasn't as overwhelming. It was easier. I could pick and choose my stuff. You could see everything, the transparency that you get when you're looking at the website and everything, and find out where I could go, what kind of money I'm going to make, what my hours would be, that kind of stuff. It's just been so much easier than dealing with the recruiter, trying to sell myself, trying to negotiate, which is not something I really like to do. So from the very beginning, Trusted won me over, because even with the recruiter that I did find that I liked, Trusted's pay was like $300 more a week.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I worry about those recruiters. What is their goal? Is it really to take care of me and or make money off of what I'm going to do for them? You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
Trust has been great about that the whole time.
Hey, I'm glad to hear that, because we really do value transparency in an industry that historically has not been super transparent. And a lot of traditional agencies, when you go to their website and you're browsing jobs, you can see like the city a job is in and like a pay range, but they often don't tell you the exact facility or the exact pay. And so something that Trusted does like to bring to our nurses is just that transparency from the very beginning. Like, this is the hospital the job is at, this is what they're offering for pay, this is, shifts per week, and, some details like shift, schedule, start date, like those things are negotiable once you're talking to a manager, but pay and where you're going to be is super important, and we feel like it's really valuable to be transparent about those things so that you know what you're applying to from the very beginning. What has your experience been with the Trusted Care team?
Everybody's been pretty great about that. I get all my answers to any questions I have that I need. Everybody's been really helpful. I have to say, when I first started with Trusted, I had one of the first cases of COVID down in Tucson. I got sick, and my husband got sick, so I had to quarantine and everything. And Trusted was great about it. My nurse advocate was just great. She would check on me all the time, and they still paid me while I was, sick and in quarantine. And my husband actually went into the hospital, so it was very serious for him.
Oh no.
And they still, even when they canceled our contracts down in Tucson, they still paid me. And my nurse advocate actually sent me 2 bottles of wine just to, try to deal with some of the stuff, which I thought was very sweet because she knew that we were wine lovers and that we went to all these wineries and everything. So I think, they really helped out and made things a little bit easier when all that happened when it first came out.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that those are the instances in which our clinician-led care team is just super valuable, because we really do value the work that our nurses and allied health professionals are doing, because we've been in those shoes. We understand what that's like. Yeah, and I'm just so glad.
That.
Yeah, and I'm so glad to hear that you had that experience, because that's really what we strive for. We really want to put our clinicians first, because our clinicians are the heart of our business. And so having our nurse advocate team, really looking out for you nurse to nurse, I think can really make a difference in those situations.
Oh yeah, definitely. I felt it. And I think that's another reason why I'm so loyal to Trusted as well, because they were wonderful through that whole awful experience at first. So
yeah, well,
it's been good. I tell people all the time.
I'm so glad to hear that. Well, what's next for you? Do you have another assignment lined up? Are you going to take some time off?
I'll take a couple weeks off. We're in Indiana, so I'll be here for a couple of weeks, and then I've already signed up for my next contract, which is in Johnson City. Get the names wrong. Johnson City, Tennessee. So I'm real excited.
Nice.
I've not worked in Tennessee yet, so.
Oh, great! Another state to mark off the list.
Yes.
And what unit will you be on for that one?
So it's actually going to be a PCU unit, progressive care or step down. A lot of the naming that each hospital has too can be confusing, but
right.
It's stuff I've done before. A little bit of tele in there, a little bit of med surg, but so, and I feel comfortable with those kind of units. So it's going to be a small town too. They only have like 71,000 people.
Oh, wow.
So that'll be different. Yeah. So
yeah.
We'll see. Real excited.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to chat with me today. I know that you're ready to get off and enjoy your weekend. So I'll let you go. I hope that you enjoy your 2 weeks off between assignments. And we look forward to hearing how your assignment in Tennessee goes.
Sounds good. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Talk to you later, Anna.
Bye-bye.
Bye.